Fans of the Horus Heresy, thank you very much for joining me for another model and rules review, and today we're looking at the Dracosan Armoured Transport for the Solar Auxiliary by Forge World. So I'm going to talk about, give you an overview and a look over the actual model and the build, and then I'm going to talk about the actual in-game capabilities and tactics of a Dracosan. So here we have it. This is a full resin kit by Forge World. It's a vehicle that is completely unique to the Solar Auxilia. No other force, I don't believe any other force in the game can access it. I'm not sure if maybe a militia or cults are allowed it, but I don't think they are. It's got a nice look to it. It's based on the Malcador chassis, so yeah, it's quite a large vehicle. Yeah, so let's look a bit closer at this intriguing tank. So first up, some options. I've added a Pintle Mount multi-laser operator here. That's a separate kit from Forge World, and you get a selection of Pintle gunners in a separate blister, but I added it on. So yeah, you can see that I've mounted the Demolisher Cannon in the hull. There's two access ports to the Dracosan, one door on each side of the vehicle. One really nice thing about this kit is the tracks are all moulded on. There's only one separate small section at the rear here where they did the key attachment points. They just have a short section of track to stick on there. So that makes assembly much easier and is a big improvement on the sort of part resin, part plastic tracks of the Malcador tank. So have a look at some of the details. So you've got these sort of I don't know, I'm not sure, these sort of like these trench crossing supports to help prevent the vehicle bogging down. You've got the exhaust stack here, you've got the engine deck here, and then this detail here on the back is nice. This is the life support system, because the Dracosan is a fully environmentally sealed vehicle and indeed is described as being able to operate on airless moons, and so this is kind of like the life support system that allows it to do that. It's a very chunky vehicle with lots of sort of detailing. So look underneath. Sort of a typical amount of Forge World detail. That, you know, they tend to have a decent amount of detail underneath the vehicle, even though it's not often seen. Right, a couple of things with building this. So you get two weapon options. I've put the Demolisher Cannon on, and however, you can also mount a twin-link las cannon there. So I've magnetised the Demolisher Cannon, so I can add that in later if I choose to do so. And let's just take a look at the alternate weapon. So this is a twin-link las cannon. Mounts in exactly the same spot. I suppose you could use this as an alternate weapon on the Malcador tank as well. I don't know if the Malcador can actually get a twin-link las cannon in its hull, but it can certainly get a las cannon. So this might be quite a nice model to swap with the Malcador for that purpose. Another thing about these tanks is these are a good way of getting hold of extra Demolisher cannons as well. Not all Malcador variants come with a Demolisher cannon, so if you bought a Dracosan, put the las cannon on it, you could then take your Demolisher Cannon and put it on the Malcador, which is exactly what I've done. And we'll see that when I do a review of the Malcador tank in the Solar Auxilia. A few things about construction of this vehicle. Right, firstly for quality. There's a large main hull piece which runs all the way from here through to there. And then there's kind of like an underside hull as well, so it's a two-part hull. Which reduced the number of parts from the Malcador. So Malcador had this engine piece at the back was a separate unit. That does make it a little bit trickier to assemble. And indeed, I found that this hull plate here is oversized compared to the upper hull unit. So you got to do one of two things. Well, I did two things. I took a bit of material away here and here to reduce the size of this, and then I heated up so in a Pyrex cooking dish, I heated up the entire upper section so it was softened, and then I could just ever so slightly bend it this way, ever so slightly, to again open up the amount of space on the bottom. So yes, beware of that, because there is a fit issue there. I built 3 of these, they're all the same. Another thing to watch out for quality control wise when you get this, make sure that the rear of the tank here is not distorted. I think it took me 9 hulls to get 3 that were decent, because to start with they were all sunk in at the back, and also here as well, this was sunk in as well. The first batches I had as well had a lot of pitting, and absolutely loads of pitting on this rear face here, and also on here. So I believe it probably sits this way up when it's curing. So do watch out for that if you buy it. Make sure that you get a decent upper hull piece, and you don't get that distortion. These ones, however, very good. One other thing to note, on the Malcador tank, this engine deck is an open piece with actual interior detailing. When they came to do the Dracosan model, they closed it off to simplify the kit. So a bit of detailing loss there. But yeah, they have the Dracosan. It's a nice looking tank. It is certainly, it's a nice chunky heavy piece as well. Yeah, I like it. Right, so let's talk a bit about the rules. As I say, this is a unique vehicle to the Solar Auxilia. It's got some great capabilities, and I would say it's the envy of all other armies in terms of a armoured transport vehicle. So basic stats, so it's a standard tank. It's ballistic skill 3, its front armour is 13, side is 12, rear is 11. Now get ready for this, it has 5 hull points. That's right, it has more hull points than a Land Raider, 5. That's almost unprecedented for a non-super heavy. So yeah, as long as nobody has any high AP weapons, it's going to take them a lot of shots to knock out a Dracosan. They're extremely resilient tanks. In terms of its war gear, a standard, so twin-link las cannon, searchlight, extra armour, a standard, so nice, and a smoke launcher. It also, as all tracked Solar Auxilia vehicles do, it has the Explorator adaptation, so you get your reroll on failed dangerous terrain tests and an invulnerable 6+ save against blast weapons. It can transport 20 models, so it's got a big capacity. So you can carry a full las rifle section. So you can't then fit a medic in with them, a medic-A. But yeah, it's big capacity, and excuse me, there are other options as well, which we'll come on to. 2 access points, 1 on each side, as I said. Right, upgrades. Now this is where the Dracosan really shines, and this is how I get the most out of these guys, by liberally applying some upgrades. So you can take the following upgrades for any Dracosan. You can have a flare shield, armoured ceramite, a Pintle mounted multi-laser or heavy flamer, up to 2 hunter killer missiles, a dozer blade, an auxiliary drive, an extra armour. I think the extra armour is a typo in this book. And for 30 points extra, you can replace the twin-link las cannon with the hull-mounted Demolisher Cannon. Yes, we all know and love Demolisher Cannons. If you fit the Demolisher Cannon, however, your transport capacity is reduced from 20 down to 10, so it halves the transport capability. But that's not a problem, because once you've fitted a Demolisher Cannon, it's an absolutely ideal assault transport to use with Velataris sections. So be it standard storm sections armed with Volkite chargers, or power axe units or power axe household retinue. And it's even a very good transport for getting flamer sections in close as well, ideal for that. Now, if you're going to use it in a close assault role, don't just stop at buying a Demolisher Cannon. Splash out the extra 25 points and get that flare shield as well. The addition of a flare shield will make it an absolute terror to kill, and the enemy's going to have to throw an awful lot of firepower at it to have any effect. I fitted all mine with Pintle Mount multi-lasers, just for a bit of extra firepower. You know, you can use them as, they'd make decent anti-air at a pinch as well. I've got 3 of these things, and one of the things, I mean, obviously this is quite a long vehicle. You can see this one, I've decided not to put the trenching attachment on, which I think it still looks really nice. You stick 3 of these guys abreast, and it pretty much stops enemy getting flanking shots on them, despite the fact they're quite long, thin vehicles, which does limit the arc of the flare shield a bit. So that's a useful tactic. I think I've played these using them both as transports for las rifle sections and for Velataris storm sections, and I found them by far the most effective when you spend the extra points on them, get the Demolisher Cannon, get the flare shield, and then transport storm section troopers and use them as heavy hitting assault transports. You know, the Demolisher Cannon gives them very impressive firepower up close. So that's certainly the way I would employ them. And you can have, given that this is a dedicated transport option open to most of the infantry in the Solar Auxilia army, you can have an awful lot of these guys. So yeah, you can really throw the armour at your opponent. Good, so I think that is everything I'd like to say about the Dracosan Armoured Transport. A very formidable fighting vehicle of the Solar Auxilia. If you'd got anything to observe or say about this, please leave a comment down in the section below. Thank you very much for listening to this review. I hope you found it interesting. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.